Good morning and welcome to my garden. Good afternoon. After a week of illness and cold temperatures, I've decided it's nicer to be outside in the early afternoon than it is in the early morning. I'd like to take you for a tour around the southern half of my garden bed. Currently I'm picking sugar snap peas. These ones you eat the pea and the pod all together, and they're very sweet, very enjoyable. That capsicum plant just keeps giving me capsicums even though it's looking very sad. I've got some tomatoes coming on here, spring onions. I've picked the last of my carrots from this bed. These two I'm keeping as seed stock. Companion planting and crop rotation says that the next crop I should plant in here is alliums. First contour bed, I've been picking chilies. There's some there. Some little red chilies. Here's a stem that's producing. Here's a little friend, the pardalote, up in the papaya tree. They're lovely. They like to dig holes in the side of earth pile and they're nesting over the other side of the garden at the moment. It's very, very special. Oh, he's got whiskers. He's got little whiskers below his chin. Hello, you're coming out in the light so we can see you. Another chili plant. I'm not the type that will randomly taste test chilies to see how hot they are. Someone told me they thought these looked like bird's eye chilies, and I've made my first batch of chili sauce out of it. It's interesting how the change of season changes everything. The arrowroot grew really fast after being chopped when I pruned it about 2 months ago. But here they have grown back, but it's significantly less than it was when it was cut in the middle of summer. You can see here there's some new growth here down to about there. And maybe a lot of these other stems have died off, but here's new stems coming here and here. The plant tends to get bigger and spread out, so I have to keep pruning it. I'll have to keep eating the new shoots. So this is what you would ideally eat. You'd chop that off with a mattock. I've heard you can eat it raw. I've eaten it baked, like a baked potato. It's got a little bit of an apple taste to it, and it's a little bit unusual. That's something I'm going to have to get used to eating, because I want to eat it, because it's in my garden. I've heard you can also do it mashed, and I'd like to try it mashed next. In this garden, my nectarin's doing okay. Papaya's doing great. Apricot. Pineapples, some of them are getting rather large. Oh, I've got another empty spot for another pineapple. Interesting. This papaya is about the same size it was about a month and a half ago. Now, I don't water my garden very often. Well, I haven't had to because it's been the rainy season, but I'm beginning to see things in my garden that make me think maybe if I watered it, they'd do a little bit better. And I want to get my watering system hooked up. Typically for a watering system, I will use a dripper hose like this one here. They have a dripper every 30 centimetres. The water speed running through the hose is regulated, so it comes out of every hole at the same speed. And I'd probably run 3 lines of that along the vegetable garden here. The fruit trees would get water from that. Tomato bush. I did plant this one, so it's not a volunteer. I've got a whole stack more fruit coming on here. This is what we look forward to, isn't it? The fruit of our labour. And my apricot plant. So 2 apricots and 2 nectarines on that garden bed, doing quite well. So this is the bed I fixed up this morning. This is my first day outside since COVID. So I forget that I've been working on it for a while. This is contour 2. This is my banana bed, asparagus. I've had cover crop along the bed. I pull all the cover crop out, laid it along the back, and I'll be planting rhubarb between my asparagus. Volunteer tomatoes and pumpkins have been growing all through the cover crop, and I've just kind of moved them to the centre of the bed so that now they're going to help cover the ground there in that area. My bananas are doing well. Here in Queensland, we have quarantine zones, which will mean I can't acquire them as cuttings from friends. I'm going to have to buy all the rest of my bananas. Swale at the front of the bed. Just made it a little bit deeper, dug all the loose stuff out. It doesn't need to be very big. Clearing this area also created the walkway down here beside the shed. We had the shed footings dug this morning, and it's another step closer to having a shed to keep all the tools and the machinery in. I'm quite looking forward to that. That is this side of the garden all cleaned up. My next task will be to extend and add to this windbreak row, which I'm going to put on top of this ridge here. We get a lot of strong breeze here, and I'm sure that'll result in papayas and bananas being blown over all over the place. So if I can get a bit of a windbreak growing here, that will help to protect the garden from the winds blowing up from this direction. At the moment, I have sugarcane as my windbreak. Between it, I'm also going to plant arrowroot because the arrowroot has done so well on this property. And if it can grow as well as that, it would make a fantastic windbreak. Come for a walk with me around the northern half of my vegetable garden. This is the wedge garden, and I'm very excited to see all the society garlic flowering. I love these things. They plant them along the roads all over the Sunshine Coast because they're so hardy. My blueberries are getting ready to flower. Here we've got blueberry biloxi. Some flowers appearing now. And this is sunshine blue. That looks like that isn't getting enough water. That's a bit dried out. I guess it's hard to keep them watered when they're in pots. And this one's Gulf Coast. Looks like some of its fruits shriveled too. Most likely because it was thirsty. So this is the rest of Contour 1. In the centre here I have a lime, a lemon, a lime. I've planted some peas in this bed. They probably need something to climb on. The northern end of Contour 1. Hey, look at these carrots, would you? This is a mixed colour crop, a rainbow colour crop of carrot. And there's a green one and that, oh, I don't know what colour that one is. So that one's probably white and this one's probably green. That one's purple. Look at the size of them, they're huge. I haven't picked them yet because I've been picking other carrots elsewhere in the garden. But they're all done. So I think I'll be eating some purple carrots for dinner sometime this week. Ah, there you go. When they split, they're orange inside. They're not purple after all, it's just playing a game on us. I think these are leek, but I could be wrong. A parsnip, I can't find, oh, there's a little top on it. That's all right. I think only one of my, oh, it's a broccoli. Only one of them came up and you can see it's pretty eaten by bugs. I might actually get that fruit. And now I see some leek here. So now I can say with confidence that this is leek and that would be onions. Lots of carrots here again. I didn't thin them out. I guess that'll happen when I pick them. I'll probably end up having to pick that whole bunch in one go because they're quite tightly packed. And these also look like leek. They've got the flat leaves. This is a kind of senna. It's a native senna. There's a callistemon Kings Park special. That's another senna. A clinus, I think that one is. This one's a leptospermum, and that's another brainer. So this side will eventually be my chop and drop row once the veggies are all gone. Growing potatoes here. I'm doing a bit of an experiment. Now we know that some potatoes are what they call indeterminate, which means they just keep growing in height, and some are determinant. So this is a Kipfler, Kipfler potato. These Kipfler potatoes are determinate, so they don't need their stems built up. I did plant them down a little bit, and I'll probably build them up a little bit too. But there's 2 rows of Kipfler. It was an experiment. I bought the Kipfler from a fruit and veg store, so we'll see how they go, see if they grow. I'm picking lots of tomatoes from this bush. I was about to give up on this bush because every tomato that it grew had bugs eating it. I thought cherry tomatoes were not going to be affected by bugs, but I was wrong. And then the season changed, and throughout May, I've been picking tomatoes that are perfect. They have no bites, no stings, no worms. So it seems to me that growing tomatoes here, you really need to do it in May once the cold weather has actually hit. Otherwise, there's just too many insects. I think I'll be learning a lot of things like that about my gardening. Oh yeah, and meet one of my local pests. See this plant? These are thorns. And they're quite painful. And they've got thorns everywhere. But yeah, those thorns, they're nasty, nasty thorns. And it seems that now that we've disturbed the soil, they're coming up all over the place here. Along the middle of this bed, we have a pear tree. That's a pear tree. Pineapple, papaya, pineapple. And down the end is an apple tree. Now, that particular spot has been a problem spot for plants. I had a pear tree there that died. It looks like this apple tree is trying to die, although there's a new shoot down low that looks like it's going to go. Oh, that's exciting. These plants along here, these are actually a flowering plant that I put there to make the garden look beautiful, to attract beneficial insects. So there's Sebago. These are also Sebago. These are indeterminate, which means you can build up their stems and they'll keep producing potatoes. Now I noticed here There's some potatoes on the surface. If I don't cover them, they're going to go green and they won't be edible. If I do cover them, the plant will continue to grow potatoes all up the stem. So being unwell has made me lose track of what's going on in my garden. So I really need to build those up. Contour 2. Remember there was a garden bed here? When the shed cut was put here, I made a 2-metre pathway, just like my other 2-metre pathways I have. So this gives us access down that way. Along the back here, on the southern side of the bed, I have various chop and drop. Seleptospermum, tea tree, that's a Tiburtina, an azalea, and this one is a camellia. So this bed was constructed out of soil that was collected from our soil pile after the earthworks. There's a lot of sticks under there because it used to be my chop and drop row. The sticks are acting like a hugelkultur bed. You may see that I've started the process of putting my watering system together. This end piece will allow me to join 3 hoses together. The bed's about 1.5 metres from the fruit tree to the edge of the bed, which means I really only want to water about 1 metre. So I've got 3 drippers, which will water 90 centimetres. I have planted thyme and oregano all along. These are from tomatoes that I've grown previously. We have onions come up here, spinach, lettuce, carrots, some more onions, red pak choi, broad beans. Why am I having so much trouble with broad beans? So some of these have come up. This is a Tripoli variety, I think it's called. And all the rest of these holes are also planted up, and one of them came up. These are shallots. I bought them at the store, and some of them have lived and some of them have not. Carrots. These bunching shallots, I was given these by a friend, and wowzers, they are doing so well. Such a delight to come out and get fresh shallot stems for dinner. It's really beautiful. It was a perfect gift. They just keep growing. It's lovely. Some red cabbage. I have to water this every 2 days because of the seedlings, and it takes such a long time. So I'm looking forward to having this watering system all set up, particularly on this bed because the soil's exposed. It gets very dry and the water runs off, so you have to go very slowly and take your time. It's a big job. This is Contour 3, recently built right here under the pardalote tree. If you look here at this pile of soil, you'll see a hole there down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. We have little pardalotes that nest in there. It's such a thrill to have the pardalotes come while we're watching. Got a bit worried the other day. There were some kookaburras hanging around in this tree, and I saw one with something in his mouth that could have been a little pardalote, so I hope it wasn't. So what have we got here? We've got some fig plants and pineapples planted recently. Thank you, mother-in-law. A new cover crop here. So the cover crop will hopefully outcompete the grass. Another fig plant there. More pineapples. More cover crop. Another pineapple. It looks like someone likes to sit in the tree directly above this fig because it's got birdie plops all over it. Rest of Contour 3. Got some nice volunteer tomatoes here. Oh, that's looking yummy. These are apples that have grown from seed. And another apple tree. Pineapples everywhere. And a pomegranate. And I've got my chop and drop plants at the front. It's a camellia, a godonia, a buddleia, that's what they're called. See, I told you they had names. Another Leptospermum, Rhodamachera, and a camellia. So they will become part of my chop and drop, and I'll lay them along my chop and drop row as mulch for the garden. And while we're on this side of the garden, let's say hello to the chookies. Hello, big boy. Having a rooster has been quite the adventure. I had no idea that they really do take care of their girls. Hello, big boy. He is really very friendly. Our boy loves him so much. So he carries him around much the same as I used to carry around a baby who had an upset tummy. It's been a new season and everything's as tidied up as I guess it's going to get until we have to tidy it up again. I hope you go for a walk in your garden and find all sorts of beautiful things and surprising things.